booktube, Chelsea the Reading Outlaw here to do a really quick library loot for you guys. I just checked these books out like yesterday, so they are hot off the library presses, so to speak. I'm super excited for them. One of them I had on hold, and the other ones I just picked up while I was browsing because I was in the mood to do a little bit of a window shopping, so to speak, which the library is my favorite place to do that because it's free. First up is The Grief Keeper by Alexander Villasante. This is the story of Marisol and her sister Gabby, who are basically forced to flee to the United States as, quote, illegal refugees when Marisol falls in love with the wrong girl or with a girl and gets found out. She's then given the chance to be a grief keeper, a new experimental program in the United States where she is invited to or allowed to take the grief of other people into her body and process and serve as an emotional cipher for them. It's new, it's experimental, it's potentially very dangerous, but it will give Gabby and Marisol the chance to come and live in the United States as opposed to their native El Salvador. This book promises to be tender, heartbreaking, carefully crafted, and ultimately a story about what happens and the lengths people will go to when they live in a world where they and their love is considered illegal. Next up is Nobody's Victim, Fighting Psychos, Stalkers, Pervs, and Trolls by Carrie Goldberg. Carrie Goldberg is a lawyer who works specifically at the intersection of internet crime, stalking, privacy violations, and sexual assault. In this book, she describes various cases that she's had in which she and her clients have taken on psychos, stalkers, pervs, and trolls, and a whole myriad of the other kinds of dregs of the internet that we see getting more and more attention in the rising days of 4chan that we're currently living in. This book promises to be potentially very dark, very hard-hitting, but ultimately triumphant as we learn and see on the inside what it's like to be fighting the fight in real life against these online perpetrators. Next up is The Chain by Adrienne McKinty. I heard about this one on All the Books and was immediately intrigued and put it on my holds list. This is essentially the story of a mother who gets the call one day that her daughter has been kidnapped. And the only way to get her daughter back alive is to pay a certain amount of money and to kidnap another child. As soon as she does this, her child will be released to her, and then the person whose child she kidnapped will have to complete the chain. It is essentially a very violent, very graphic kidnap chain letter. So it's the story of what happens when this one particular mother doesn't want to play but wants to get her daughter back, and can she beat the chain? I'm really excited to get through this one. I'm a little nervous. Sometimes stuff with kids can be hit or miss for me since I've had my second, but this book promises to be dark, vengeful, violent, and I'm really intrigued by the prospect. These last two are nonfiction titles that I was so ridiculously excited for. The first one is inspired by Rachel Held Evans, Slaying Giants, Walking on Water, and Loving the Bible Again. Rachel Held Evans is one of my absolute favorite biblical scholars who very unfortunately and kind of untimely and tragically passed away earlier this year. I'll link to a really beautiful obituary down below, as well as an episode of the Good Christian Fun podcast, a really delightful look at Christian pop culture in which they had a discussion with Rachel about what it's like to be kind of a contemporary pop culture Bible scholar and to operate in those realms. I really loved Searching for Sunday, which is Rachel's story of leaving and finding the church again. So I'm really looking forward to digging back into this one. As somebody who's read the Bible and different portions of the Bible several times, hearing her take on things and seeing what this contemporary feminist, quote, woke white Christian lady has to say in the wake of her ultimate passing. And I'm just really looking forward to getting to this collection. And then the last book I wanted to talk about was one that was actually on my most anticipated of the read video list. It sounds absolutely fascinating, more so in format even than content, although that sounds really addicting too. It's called She, He, They, Me for the Sisters, Misters, and Binary Resistors by Robin Ryle. And it is quite literally a choosable adventure book through the global and historical concepts of gender. The book opens up with a statement about the art, about how a wide variety of gender identifying artists were asked to contribute different symbols that could represent the gender spectrum and the wide varieties of conceptions of gender. And then the book itself quite literally reads like a choosable adventure book. So this is chapter 15 at the very end. It says, your gender assignment is male or masculine, go to 23. Your gender assignment is female or feminine, go to 24. Your gender assignment is something else, go to 14. And so through that, Robin is able to take you through what we know historically, contemporarily, conceptually, scientifically about the global history of gender, as well as also postulating into some future visions of gender and a society in which gender is encapsulated or abandoned completely in a wide variety of different ways. I have not started this yet. I always find like choosable adventure books to be a little bit of an interesting read, but I really want to find a way to get to every page in this one because I find it so deeply fascinating. And there you have it, folks. There's my most recent library haul. I am trying to be a good library patron by not checking out more books than I can feasibly read in my 3-week checkout time. But as always, never make promises. All right, friends, let me know down below if you've read any of these, if you want to read any of these. If you've made it this far in the video, please leave me an emoji so that I know you stopped by. Otherwise, until next time, give me a like, give me a follow, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And as always, have happy reading.